up, everyone, to TribaLights, Illuminating Paths to Wellness. I have Rayne Grant here with me, and she's been so lovely to come and hang out with us here at the production office at Tico Time. We are here this summer and developing so many things, the festival being one of them, along with a behavioral healthcare agency that offers peer support, a school, a church, and an eco-village. So
amazing.
We're pulling it all together, and I think many of us share this big vision, this collective dream of this new earth. And I think that's why Rayne, when she found out that what we were doing, she
was like, what? It's exactly like my own, like I've had this vision, very, very similar. Yeah, it started about 8 years ago. So yeah. So it's good to know that I'm not the only one out there. There are a lot of people who know that there needs to be a shift in the world, and you know, it's individual, but it's collectively coming together. I think that's where the biggest change happens.
Yeah. You know? Oh yeah. Definitely starts with self. And for you, it started 8 years ago, or that was just when?
Well, let's see. Well, 2013. That's 11 years ago. I'm off.
11 years.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Time does fly. You know, it's like funny because I'm like, how many years ago? And then I have to think about how old my kids are. And I'm like, oh, gauge it by how old my kids are. Farrah's 10 years old. Yeah. Nice. 10 years ago. Yeah.
So what happened then?
I actually started having dreams and visions at night, and then I'd have these wake dreams. And I didn't really understand them. I thought maybe I didn't really understand what it was, but I was having visions of desert oases, and I was like, "What the heck?" And I didn't, and they were repeating, and so I was like, this is kind of a story, but I started. I just Googled desert oasis, started looking at pictures, and I'm like, "Why am I having these visions? Like, what's up?" And I'm starting to, I'm starting to read articles and stuff. I'm like, "Oh, man-made oases." Naturally occurring oases all over the planet. And then I realized, I was like, some people are actually building and growing soil around these man-made oases. What's going on with this? And I started looking at different groups and what they were doing. And then that led me to, like, because I'm a researcher, so because I was like, what is this? Like, I knew there was a reason I was having these repetitive dreams. And so I came across a project called I believe it's Tamara. I think that's how you say it. And they were working with Sepp Holzer. He's an Austrian permaculture dude, cool dude, doing awesome things, working with water retention landscaping. And I realized, it's like, oh shoot, I had no idea about desertification or what that was. But all of our deserts are expanding. And then I was like, what's this desertification stuff all about? And then I'm looking at all these people who are like basically combating it in different ways all over the world. And so I started following certain individuals, just watching their story. I didn't really understand why. I just felt like when I was reading about these things and watching TED Talks and YouTube and documentaries and stuff, I just knew that I felt on fire and excited. And I was like, I need to pay attention to this. And I didn't even know what the word permaculture meant. I just knew that I really wanted to create a blueprint that showed that you could create an oasis in any desertous or non-desertous environment, whether that's restoring landscapes and or just creating, like, beautifying, greening the desert, basically.
Ecosystem restoration is another term they use.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what John Liu does. But so long story short, I've come across all of these incredible people. I started following different people. It led me to finding a TED Talk by Paul Stamets, 6 Ways Mushrooms Can Help Save the World. It's an 18-minute long TED Talk, and I encourage everyone to watch it at some point if you have not. And that really triggered something in my head. I had this light bulb moment. And I was like, 6 ways that mushrooms can, 6 ways mushrooms can help the planet. Like, I started researching like mad. And I was like, there's way more than 6 ways mushrooms can help save the planet. And so I had some gear, like I had a camera, I had some sound gear, and I was already making music videos and stuff, but I was like, I think I need to do something good with this stuff. And so I decided to start documenting some of these things, and started reaching out to my favorite authors and other filmmakers and just teachers, like people who are professionals, people who are know their stuff. And as I was reaching out to people, I realized that people were just really excited to reach back, and I started getting interviews and talking to as many people as I could. And I realized that fungi are very important in the ecological part of any restoration. That comes up naturally. So then I was like, well, what if you enhance it with purpose? Add to, because what I have seen is that nature does its thing. Like, if you leave a space for a long time, it'll start to regenerate by itself, but very slow process. It can be very slow process. So when humans come in with their intentions,
mushrooms can speed it up, is what you're saying?
Fungi definitely speed it up. There's not just mushrooms, but
that's mycelium and
other fungal organisms in different capacities, and working with and you get these awesome soil scientists and things of that nature. And I'm very intuitive when I work with soil and whatnot, and so I find that intuition and working with your environment is huge. But also understanding the science behind it is also part of it.
Right.
So anyway, I get on fire.
Yeah, I wonder how we can implement that more here, because we don't have enough compost right now to meet the needs of how many spaces we've been approved to prepare the soil, for next year. And what would that look like, using mushrooms to...
Fungi.
Fungi, yeah. Sorry.
Some of them are mushrooms. So the mushrooms are the actual fruiting body,
right.
And so some of these fungal creatures, they're fungi. I'm a fungal. Are you a fungi? You're a fungi.
I'm pretty fun.
So as far as creating soil or like growing soil out here, if you're not producing enough compost material here on the property itself, there are ideas I've had with some of my own projects.
So do you use it in conjunction with the compost? Okay,
Yeah.
so we could get a lot of food donations that are being spoiled, and
Exactly.
if we can use the mushrooms to speed it up.
Absolutely. It's a thing,
Right.
And you
the
can...
fungi, sorry.
The fungi, all those fungi. The doggy says there's a car out there. I got a hair on my eyelashes.
Oh.
But so not only food waste, you could work with local restaurants and things of that nature, provide containers for them to fill and go and pick them up. You can also yard waste. People throw away a lot of yard waste. So leaf matter, limbs, twigs, things of that nature can all be turned into soil.
Yeah. Maybe we can get a working party together to go do landscaping,
Yes.
and then keep all the stuff.
You can do that. You can also...
Part of the work trade thing.
Yeah. It's part of the work trade.
Heck yeah, and go and help other people. Yeah, help people clean up their yards and establishments and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then also there are times of the year when people will put debris in bags to go to the landfill. It goes to the landfill, and it's good to have that kind of material in the landfill. I actually think that it's okay to have that kind of thing in the landfill.
Right.
But it's really using it intentionally. You can not only you can grow edible mushrooms. Now you can enhance it with a lot of the indigenous fungi that you find here, like soil fungi, and you can create fungal rich compost teas, as opposed to the anaerobic. You want something fungally rich. But it's nice to be in a position where you're turning, say, like food waste into more food, or debris into food. And you can also work with other. So there's I have a lot of ideas surrounding permaculture practices and soil production using fungi. But food production's one of them. Another Another thing that you can do is work, like if you work with like verma, they call it mycovermiculture. So the worms, people like to work with worms in their compost. And if you inoculate it with something, say like oyster mushrooms, those are real hardy and they grow easily. The worms go crazy. They love it. So you can, have your little worm farm. I have a worm farm and a mushroom farm, but it hastens the processes.
Okay.
And then, the worms, they have a lot of castings, a lot of waste,
Right.
and that also is like nourishing the soil and whatnot. But it's really important to use a lot of like leaf matter and twigs and things of that nature because, it's rich in lignin, but that's going to create a soil that's very almost spongy or fluffy.
Right.
And there are different techniques you can do, like say a swale system. So where you have a berm and a ditch, and then the water pours out of the sky and it comes down the hill and it goes into that ditch, and then the water absorbs into the ground. Well, you can do a couple of things with that. You can dig down into that ditch and create a layered effect. I call it the lasagna method. And so so mycelium, when it is breaking down matter, it runs, like mycelium runs. So you would make layers like you were making a burrito or something, right? And so you're like using sawdust, using wood chips, using limbs, using cardboard, but you do it in layers across that ditch. And then and you do layer, and you put some myceliated substrate. You could use red what do they call it? The red giants, the garden giants, the king stropharia. That's another edible mushroom.
Okay.
But then you'll cover it with dirt, right? And so when the water goes into that ditch, it absorbs down. But so you use different materials because, well, like say a piece of cardboard is going to get eaten a lot faster or consumed a lot faster than say a log, right? And so you want to give those organisms something to eat really fast, so it gets them really stimulated and excited, and then you give them things to chew on so that they, it makes them stronger actually.
Okay.
And so you can do that in the ditch, but then in the berm, a lot of people use what's called hugelkulture, where you put logs into the hill. You can do the same thing, and it's going to break down all of that lignin-based matter a lot faster and create a spongy soil that holds the moisture in. And you can do that around trees or, in garden beds and around your house.
We just did a garden bed behind the trailer, so like on the hill, we did little terraces, so there's steps.
Oh,
And
good.
so we can put like a wall in front of that, and then we were thinking if we could just start composting there, get it going right in the spot where it's needed. So it cleared the weeds out on the whole hillside. It was like 50, 60 yards of this hillside. So it would look really beautiful to get the composting going there. We might plant the plants just because why not? We have them and they can become part of the compost or something.
Exactly.
But this year is just really about, the prototype and getting a very small scale thing happening so that can be built on and to just look at all the different areas. And it would be so amazing to be sustainable, with the food here. And,
absolutely.
Just demonstrate that to other people too, how we can use these ancient techniques that we've lost sight of to reconnect with nature and to our food source. They say something like the food is more nourishing, right? When you don't have to transport it such a long distance.
Sure, because you can let it ripen to its, to its fullness, or potentially, before the first freeze. Whereas, if you're getting something shipped from across the ocean or far away, you have to pick it a lot sooner.
Right.
So it's going to be lesser
vibrant.
Less vital.
There's something too with the colors of food, right? Like the darker colors have more nourishment. I think that's right. Like the purples and the darker greens, right?
That makes sense. They say eat a color spectrum, right?
Yeah.
What have you eaten yellow today?
You know what's funny though is like because I know one of the things you're really passionate about is mushrooms, and you've started your own line of products and like tinctures and different, ways of consuming and working with these teachers. Let me see. So what's this one? Oh, you have a coffee alternative.
So that's the coffee alternative.
Nice.
So I call it stimuli. It's got the double I. That's my idea of a mushroom joke. But yeah, I make products for people to get healthy. I mean, my passion about mushrooms is multifaceted, and so not only teaching people, like learning about how to heal myself utilizing medicinal and nourishing mushrooms, which functional mushrooms is now the term. How do I teach people how to do that for themselves, or even create their own extracts and things, and how to find it in nature? I have the Four Corners Mycological Society, and so that incorporates going up into the woods, into the Rocky Mountains. We have a lot of species that grow here. We have a really short window of time that they grow, but it's just really about empowering the person. Like when you can go out and just find, it's fun to find mushrooms, period, but when you know how to find your own food, whether it's mushrooms or just herbs, hi baby, it's empowering to the individual. And I see that there's a lot of mind scarcity or fear surrounding food, so it's like nature provides. We can grow our own food, we can find our own food, and that just is an empowering feeling in general. And and then there's the whole mind. It's like when our bodies are nourished, and our brain is able to think better, right? And so that's nourishment, but then there's also the whole nervous system. So it's like nervous system health, hormonal health, gut health, like all of these things. When we're depleted in different ways, it causes us to be a little more stressed out.
Well, yeah, isn't that the big thing? It's the stress that can cause either anxiety or depression or overwhelm, and even like psychotic episodes can be brought on by too much stress.
Sure.
And if you have something like this that can, help the nervous system to just
calm down
and remind you that everything is safe in the body. So if it feels safe in the body, that means, things are safe in the world. Sometimes when someone's having an episode, that feeling of overwhelm will manifest out into the world.
Sure.
And so the way out of that is in through the practices that we can use, and also the medicines that we can use. So
absolutely, it's like it takes all of the aspects of it. But when we're calm in our nervous system, and you can be excited and still be calm, but when we're calm in our nervous system and we're not operating out of fear and anxiety, you can, even if there's a stressful environment, you can handle it, and you're making better decisions. And also we affect each other. If you're around someone that's having a meltdown, even if you're able to calm the situation and and keep your own resonance, it still affects us. We're very communal based people, and so we really do rely on one another. And I know that there's codependency, right? But then there's interdependency, and that's something that's like that healthy interdependency is a beautiful form of vulnerability that I actually think that allows for more strength of the individual and in the community. And mushrooms do play a part in that. I think. Well, I see mushrooms relevance in a lot of different things, not just. See, people think mushrooms, they think psychedelics. Yes, psychedelics, and the functional mushrooms. We need our hormones to be balanced so that we're not, like say, easily stimulated to fight in flight mode.
Right.
And there's just a number. I could go off on hormonal, health and all the things, but I don't need to right now.
Yeah, it's been studied and it's been shown to help people with many different ailments, from end-of-life disorder to smoking cessation, depression, PTSD, Alzheimer's, is that what it's called?
Alzheimer's,
Dementia,
degenerative diseases of
addiction.
the brain. Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's a panacea, but it compared to the other options available, it does get really exciting to see what is going to happen once these things are legalized, and but hopefully sooner than that. With the model that we're creating with the church, we were just sharing, that with the laws in Colorado, it could cost upwards to $10,000 to work with psilocybin one time with a doctor, and with all the things that come with that. And it would actually be, in my opinion, more beneficial for someone to be in nature, to be with their peers, to be with other people that understand these medicines really well, and maybe even come from a lineage and a tradition that has some culture and things to connect to with that. Not necessarily, but as an option, for people looking for that experience. But I do think it is something to take with reverence and respect, and an openness to a spiritual experience, and to see what could happen with that intention, because I think it can be really profound for people who might struggle with that idea. Yeah.
Anything with the right intention, it just empowers it and amplifies it. Whether you are working with psilocybin-based mushrooms, or like muscimol-based mushrooms, or just any of these, like the food mushrooms. I mean, food is a medicine. And also, like when you're talking about working with things like reishi and turkey tail and lion's mane and cordyceps and chaga and all the array of functional, like they say functional mushrooms, they're medicinal. And I know some people have trouble with that term, medicinal mushrooms, but
they're better than portobellos.
We won't get into the topic of portobellos. I can. We can talk about agaricas, but I eat them.
Yeah.
But I do see, in our Rocky Mountains, we really don't have psilocybe species that grow here. It's very arid. I think one has been documented ever in Colorado Springs, but it's just so arid that you're not going to find them in nature. And so there are mushrooms that you can find in the mountains that are medicine and non-psychedelic. And we do have a psychedelic variety that grows in the Rocky Mountains, the Amanita muscaria, and that one is something that you have to be very careful with. Make sure you're identifying it and preparing it properly. If anyone finds an Amanita muscaria and have questions, you can reach out to me and I will help you with the understanding of that beautiful mushroom. But there's something to be said about getting into the woods. There's a concept of what's called forest bathing, and I know for me, I feel really grounded just getting into the forest. Whether you are, it's fun to look for things, right? Because there's something I think ingrained into our genetics that like wants to go gather or hunt, right? Or just it's fun. It's like Easter egg hunting. But even just getting into the woods in general and just being, it can shift so many things. So like providing spaces or teaching people how to get in the woods and enjoy it properly. I know people that are afraid to go into the woods. Wild animals might get them or something. I'm more concerned about the wild people sometimes, yeah, there's something to be said about getting into the forest as much as you can, and even if it's just a park setting, just getting outside into the sun and taking your shoes off, putting your feet in the water, all of that is really, really important. And it's like nature. Nature is where I think we should look to the patterns of nature and emulate it.
Yeah, anything that causes awe, a little bit more of like a wide lens where there's a vista, right? That's what Josh likes to say. Likes to allow his eyes to go wide, so you're really taking it all in. And so many times we're like so zoomed into the
like
phone,
the phone or even reading.
And it engages the left brain when
the right brain.
It engages the right brain when you're super focused.
Oh yeah, when you're super focused, it's
the left brain, and then
Makes
when
sense.
And then horizon
is wide.
Right brain.
Yeah, right.
I've thought that for so long, like hiking up to high vantage points where you can see a huge view, regardless of what that view is. It's just like there's something about that expansiveness. It's, I've always felt like I know that when I allow myself to do that and just like breathe into it, even if you don't even have to hike somewhere, you could drive somewhere and just like allow yourself to sit there and just take in that expansive view, especially if it's beautiful. It's like, it just feels so reviving, and I come away from it feeling inspired to do something creative,
Yeah. Well, I'm super glad that we got to get creative with this project, and Convergence is the wellness festival. That's really the
I am so excited about what's being built or what's being created and co-created. It is a vision I've had for a while, to do something very similar to what we're doing here on the property, in my own realms. Because when you get, number one, amplifying others, okay? Allowing people a space where they can share their wisdom and their skills with others, not only empowers that person, but it can empower everyone they're sharing with to be inspired to go and do that, And then there's something to be said when you are working on not just a project, but putting focus and intention on anything as a collective, whether that's 2, 3 people, 20 people, 1,000 people, it's really powerful. And you can just man labor, get 20 people together, you can knock out a project pretty quick, right? And I've seen that get done in different permaculture events I've helped to put on and whatnot. And it's just exciting to see how fast the earth responds to some of these projects, and how I have seen shifts in people so quickly, just in being able to hold space with one another. There are a lot of lonely people in the world, and it doesn't have to be that way, helping people find purpose, because I know for me, when I didn't feel a sense of purpose and knew the trajectory that I was going on in my life, I was very unsatisfied and felt a little lost. But I just kept the wheels turning and kept going through day to day, just make money. I know I got to eat, keep the bills going, just the basics. But helping people to find what it is that they are on fire about, and makes them excited about life. I have a friend who's a breakthrough coach, and I think it's really admirable. He's so passionate about helping people to find what it is that they want to achieve in their own life. Because when you have something to work toward, and it's like for something bigger than yourself, and something that is also contributing to your community, that gives you there's a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging, and that's what we all really want deep down, I feel.
Yeah.
And so anyway,
I think that's what it always was when I went through all the 7 inpatient treatment centers, and being in the military and going through the psych wards. It was like I saw what was missing from all of it, and it was the fact that you would go through these programs and there was no integration, there was no aftercare, there was no community support. There was kind of like, go get a job, maybe get a girlfriend after you get a car. Always got to build from scratch. And then I saw it happen so many times for so many people, where they would start to put all these other things before their own recovery, and then eventually would relapse and would go through this whole cycle. And I went through that cycle of total self-destruction 4 times, where I'd get sober and I'd build it all up, and I thought I should be happy now, but I'm not. And then I'd go to drugs, and that really was all to inspire me to create something new, I think, where we could actually offer both housing, long-term housing, and meaningful work. That's, if you have both of those things in community, that would be way above and beyond anything else out there now.
Absolutely.
I think there could be some programs. I know there was a community in Texas that started, but they built it more like a subdivision. You know, with what we're building, this is more of like, you know,
Village.
Yeah, eco village. You know, we're growing food, we're building earthen dwellings, we have greenhouses, and ecstatic
exciting.
dance and drums,
Yeah.
and
Back boxes.
you know, there's more emphasis on like how we can get high naturally, and like, you know, we have education around things like this, and you know, maybe if you're a good candidate, you can sit with medicine and have a heroic dose.
Sure.
If you're, you know, if that's what's calling you, and you've been screened and all the things.
Gotta be screened.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, especially if someone is coming from a background of, say, addiction or, like, say, violence or something. I mean, it makes sense to screen people so that there is safety for everyone involved, right? And to make sure that they're a good candidate, like mentally, physically, all the things.
Yeah. And that we've been with them for a number of months, where we really get to know that person, they get to know us.
Yeah.
We get to know if they are on any kind of medications, and I think it's that trust really that needs to be really built well, because when someone's going into that space with you,
It's vulnerable.
yeah, you got to be able to trust that person.
You know, I'm an advocate for microdosing, you know, or building up to a medium dose, like what I call a euphoric dose is
Right.
my favorite, or you can also call it an aphrodisiac dose. You know,
Yeah, with practices, right?
with
So that was my other
practices,
point. Was like you're
yeah.
preparing through the meditation, the breath, the ice, the sweat, the microdosing.
And you know what's
Dance.
and dance, absolutely. Dance is so stimulating to our brain. And there's something to be said about, so when you take a microdose, you really don't even, it's not even that apparent. I mean, if it's microdose enough, you don't really feel it. You might just feel a little, you know, upbeat, a little more upbeat. But when you are doing a regimen and doing any practice, whether you're going through meditations and different healing modalities, or you're learning to play guitar, or you're, you know, training to be a runner, or whatever it is.
Jiu-jitsu.
You're getting good at your jiu-jitsu. But it because we can train our nervous systems, and some of these things is not just the psychedelic mushrooms. We got lion's mane that's really good, and then there's other you know, like niacin, nicotinic acid. It helps it stimulates nerve growth. So when you're doing things and you're growing your nervous system and you're setting new patterns, and whatever that is, you can set new patterns, you can learn new skills, you know, like if you're going to back to school, or if you're learning a trade or whatever, these things, you have more power over your own body and nervous system. I believe that we do more so than we realize. And so when we're, like, say, healing from an illness or an ailment, or we're wanting to sharpen our skill set, or we're wanting to come off of addiction, or whatever that looks like, you can do that with intention and purpose, and really train your brain, your nervous system, and your body to be who you want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is more joyful and peaceful and excited and
Healthy.
confident.
Yeah, doing the things you love.
Yeah, and who doesn't want that? So I feel like with what we're offering, it would really be beneficial to almost everyone. I mean, I don't know any enlightened people out there, but I think we're all striving to become the best version of ourselves, and I don't think any of us are really there yet, because we're always growing and getting better. And
I like to think of it as its evolution. We are evolving, and I do believe that we are all enlightened. I think babies are enlightened, but I think that sometimes we forget, or we have forgotten as a species, some of the most basic things. And some of it's like being present. And I mean, who's enlightened? Is Gandhi enlightened? He was incredible, you know, if you want to put a judgment on that. But I think that if we're saying that no one is enlightened, and we're all attaining it, and we all are, it's a constant evolution. It's something that's never reachable, and at the same time it's here right now, right? That's what I'm feeling about it, you know.
yeah, I feel that same way. It's a moment-to-moment journey, and you never fully arrive until it's over.
Evolution, baby, or evolving. You know.
Yeah.
Terms are funny.
Well, thank you so much, Rayne. This was a really fun second interview, and I hope that we can continue to work together and
absolutely.
bring more of this type of education into the Reconnection Camp programming.
Totally.
Some of the medicine that we can, give people and get them on a regimen. And,
absolutely. I have the Colorado Mushroom Company. I'm findable online. You can also Google my name, Rayne Grant, and I come up under various different things. I do a lot of things for the community and have clubs and nonprofits and things. But and I also have the Four Corners Mycological Society, so we can get in nature and find the things. It's so fun. It's like one of the things I love. And then I've been working on a documentary titled, it's a question, Can Mushrooms Save the Planet? But the question is, what does that mean? Saving the planet, what does that mean, And so this is like I'm asking for answer. I want an answer.
It's a loaded question, I think.
It's a very loaded question, but, I don't know. I get a lot of answers, so.
Nice. Awesome. Well, we'll put some of the links in the comment section below, and continue to follow us as we move towards September to the Convergence Wellness Festival.
I am so excited.
Yeah, this will be our grand opening, and there's going to be so many beautiful humans coming together to support this. And
this is something I've never been a part of something quite as profound as this, because I've always had this vision of, I've worked with a lot of different music festivals and transformational festivals and things of that nature, and my whole niche has been to bring the education, the workshops, the yoga, the sound healing, the permaculture, all of that. But that's always been like something that's on the side, but not the main attraction, because people come, they want to come and party, they want to come dance, they want to see the acts, they want to see the concert, and that's really, sure, that's fun. But I think it's really a potent space to gather the people. People are coming to celebrate life and things of that nature, but bringing the education and the community to that is like that's the perfect space to do so.
Yeah.
And I've seen that, when the first time I went to Sonic Bloom, I was like, they asked me to come and teach a class, and I saw there's just thousands of people there. And I'm like, all these young people, I'm like, gosh, there's not a lot of purpose to it other than just coming and having a good time. Okay, that's fine. And I taught a class on mushrooms, and I was like, this is the perfect space to reach a lot of people. A lot of people, and people are looking for the meat. They are looking for something to bring home with them that can add quality to their lives, right? And so that's why I started working on transformational festivals, because I saw a need for that and a calling for that. And people are hungry for it.
Yeah.
And I've heard, I talk to hundreds, if not thousands of people every year. That's been the ongoing consensus. I just got off the phone with this couple a couple days ago, and they're just like, oh my God, the first time I went to Unison Festival, I was going to dance, but then there were workshops, and I was like, what are these workshops? And they, I keep hearing life-changing. I'm like, life-changing? That's pretty intense, right? Life-changing? Heck yeah. So why not hold a festival that offers so many workshops, or just as many workshops as we can, but different genres, and then also have the dancing and the celebration. And to me, that's my idea of a good party.
Yeah. For me too, I know when we initially took this on, this was this is actually the 4th year of the same date, but when we initially started, we partnered with the owner of Tico Time, who's been in sobriety through 12-step support groups for the last 22 years now. And the name of the festival was first Soberfest, and then they changed it to Serenity, which has its roots in AA, or 12 steps generally. And so when we took this on with the vision of TribaLights, and initially it would be Serenity could be a fundraiser for the Reconnection Camp, and we started to think more about, well, what is our philosophy really, and are we really wanting to continue to promote the specific path of AA and the 12 steps?
Right.
And since we, through our own journeys, had actually explored other paths outside of this, we thought it would be really necessary to change the theme and to open up the conversation around, harm reduction.
Yes.
And the ceremonial ritualistic working with the master plant teachers.
Yes.
And recovery really too, and how that it's not just applied towards people with addiction, but recovery is also available to people recovering from trauma.
Yes.
Or whatever it is. Like addiction is just a symptom of the trauma, and people have these negative behaviors that manifest as symptoms in their life that cause negative outcomes. And so we can also work with people,
absolutely,
that are struggling with anything in life that started from that trauma, really, is what we've learned
or even just not knowing how to communicate. Like communication skills are something that we're really not
there's
taught
that too,
as a child. And so it's like, how can we communicate with one another? How can we learn how to communicate what's going on inside too? And listening to people. And it's like, for me, I've always gone to Serenity Festival, but like for me, the term sober doesn't really resonate with me because I've never been an alcoholic. I've never been a drug addict. I mean, I used to smoke cigarettes, but that was about it, right? And so, yes, addiction is, but I have so many friends that have really benefited from AA because it has that structure that they need. And so it's like, for me, the first year Soberfest, I was like, oh, I'll go, but I don't really know if I even fit in because I don't know. If I'm not an alcoholic and I'm not a drug addict, am I sober, right? And so I'm like, well, I think everybody's sober is going to be a little different. So like, I was like, well, I can fit in anywhere, right? Most places, unless it's like a really weird, violent situation. But I'm like, so this really resonates with me because it just takes for me, it takes all the things that I've been working on and amplifies it. And I see a need for that, not just for me to amplify what I'm doing, but like I want to see people amplifying their gifts and coming to that place of feeling well, like feeling okay, like everything's okay,
right.
And sometimes we just need to hear it, but it's also really empowering to say it to yourself.
Well, to know that we're not alone, and that's kind of the point I'm trying to make, is that we have so much more in common with each other. And it's, that symptom might manifest itself as different negative behaviors, be it addiction or anything like that. But
overworking, for example.
Yeah, but it's those emotions that we share, though. The feeling of overwhelm, the feeling of loss, like all these different emotions that we share.
We all share.
We might deal with them differently.
Sure.
But I think we all share also similar solutions.
Sure.
And if we can focus on those things and support each other with the accountability of like the discipline of the practice that it takes to, develop those tools.
That's what I was going to say. Yes. And we aren't born with these tools, really. I mean, some things are common sense, but not always, really. I've in my journey, I've had to heal from a lot of PTSD and different traumas coming from violence as a child and things of that nature. But it's like, for instance, I'm driving up, I'm playing my bass music really loud. I used to not be able to even listen to loud stuff. Like I would literally, it would make me very uncomfortable. I'd want to get into a quiet environment and pull away from everybody. But now it's like, play my loud bass music now and dance, and I'm like, yes, I can handle the tones, but I there are little things where it's like, yes, giving yourself or finding the tools that work for you personally, because every single person's going to be different, but there are tools, and being able to provide that for people is huge, or teaching people how to provide that for themselves, whatever that is, whatever that looks like. Just daily practices sometimes. Change the patterns, change all the patterns.
Well, we're excited to implement, our morning practice, and it'll vary from day to day, but we are going to be launching soon, possibly next Tuesday, which is just in about a week.
Tuesdays are good.
Yeah, so
Tuesdays.
we have our starting at 8 a.m. and that goes through 11, and then we'll have some time in the afternoon to to work with people. And for those of you that don't know, we are technically, even though we're offering all this holistic wellness and peer support, technically we are licensed as a behavioral healthcare agency. And so that allows us to work with Medicaid. So people that make less than $20,000 a year usually are qualified for this type of insurance, and it allows them to come here and have to pay nothing.
That's huge.
And so we are starting that after 2 years of developing and meeting with the owner. And for me, it's been a 7-year journey, but for the last 2 years, we've been super focused on Tico time and just getting the plan in place. And now we have the licensing and the grand opening in September. I'm just so
Convergence. I'm
so
like,
excited.
bring it together. Let's unify and converge all of the things. You know, like I'm ecstatic.
Yeah. So we're just gonna keep sharing the progress as we keep moving forward and bringing on more interesting people.
That's beautiful.
And sharing their passions and.
People are ready to share.
I think
So many people are ready to share.
Yeah.
I am blown away by the people, the community, the communities. Like I look at the community as like these, you know, there are all these micro communities, but it's all really connected. And people are so like they're hungry to share, and then people are hungry for the information. Because I talk to hundreds of people, like a lot of people. Who are not only looking for the medicine, but have medicine to offer. And that's what you do when you have the medicine. You want to share it, you know? And so it just gives me a lot of hope for the future, like a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's keep sharing the medicine. And thank you so much, Rayne. Really.
Thank you, Phoenix. Thank you for doing what you're doing and just and pushing through all the beautiful challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you, everyone. Much love, blessings.
Much love.
Much love.